Good morning. Today on Spotlight, get ready for 1 million people and 40,000 classic cars and trucks parading up and down historic Woodward Avenue. Tony Michaels and Amy Marin Tech will be with us to talk about the Woodward Dream Cruise presented by Ford. And later, Phil Weaver of the Hope Network talks about Michigan's auto insurance reform. And we'll also remember former Oakland County Executive L. Brooks Patterson. It's Sunday, August the 11th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. "25 years, a silver anniversary for the Dream Cruise." It's hard to believe that something that started as a fundraiser for a local soccer field has spread into this.
Well, I'll tell you this. It just proves how great it really is and what it means to this region with cars. That's our heritage. And people showing up here 25 years later, 1 million strong, 40,000 vehicles. This is Americana, and it's on Woodward and these great 9 cities, Chuck.
And it's on a very historic street. We are known around the world for Woodward Avenue, and it just gets better and better.
It really does, 16 miles, and then you put on top of that Ford Motor Company as the presenting sponsor, and I do mean it. It is just perfection. It really is.
Amy, why is this so important to the Ford Motor Company? I mean, you think about cars and you think about automobiles and trucks, and you certainly think about the iconic Ford Motor Company. It put the world on wheels.
We did put the world on wheels, and our heritage is very much that of performance. So this is where our enthusiasts are. This is where our employees are so excited to be. So it really is the perfect opportunity for us to partner with Tony and the cities and do something that's exciting for the city.
Your title is Product Line Director for Ford Icons. For the person that may not be that car enthusiast, what does Ford Icons entail?
Isn't that a great thing, Icons?
It's a great title.
It's a great title. It is our vehicles that are iconic vehicles. So the Ford Mustang, you may have heard we'll be bringing back the Ford Bronco next year, so it includes the Ford Bronco, and it also includes all of our performance vehicles like the Ford GT, the GT500, the GT350, the Raptor, so all those performance vehicles.
And those are the cars that when people are out there, it makes them say, ooh.
I tell you, you never get in a Mustang without a smile on your face. And one of the vehicles that we're going to showcase at Mustang Alley is our 2020 GT500, 760 horsepower of brand new technology. And I will tell you, that will have a line for people to come and look at it. So even though there are so many people there with their classic cars, they really appreciate the future and the future classic cars that we're making today.
People just line up and say, I have not seen that one down Woodward before. Now that may seem a little simple, but to these car enthusiasts and people who love vehicles, they're looking for that vehicle that they haven't seen in a while, and that's part of it. The other part is the way the communities embrace this. The communities run this all the way from Pontiac to Ferndale. This is really their show, and they do a phenomenal job. So there's activation. You're going to see Ford Motor Company at various places like 9 Mile in Woodward with Mustang Alley, as you were mentioning. There's areas like that. And
is that what keeps it a family-friendly event? It's a free event. You don't have to pay money to get into this. You can just go. You can grab the kids, the grandkids. All generations are there.
It is, and I say this to everybody, Chuck, it is Americana. This is that one event that really tugs on your heart because it's memories. And think about it, the old cars and memories, and kids are now kids, they're 35, 40 years old. Their memories of their older cars are something that we may think were fairly new. So there's like an evolution of what becomes the car that you were brought up with. So it's heart and soul, and that's what I say to everybody. This is heart and soul. It really is.
Right. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, Amy, I want to talk to you a little bit about while all of this is sort of eye candy throughout the week here, this also is about a very competitive business and a business that you know well because you've dealt with it around the world. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, I want to talk about the competition side of the automotive business. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Amy Marin Tech, Talk to me a little bit about your path to this automotive business. You've always been a car person, you told me.
I have. I actually started as an aerospace engineer working to make our cars more aerodynamic. So
University of Michigan graduate.
University of Michigan
Go
grad.
Blue.
Undergrad and grad, go blue. Helped Jim Harbaugh get in an F-150, one of my proudest
Did you
moments.
really?
Yes,
Oh my
I
gracious.
did. Yes, I did.
How did he do?
He did great.
Did
He
he?
did great. Well, when he came to University of Michigan, he wasn't driving a Ford, so we helped fix that.
All right, very good. You've worked in China.
I have. I just got back from China. I ran Lincoln in China and have been back a year ago today, so very fresh.
So you've seen firsthand the competition in this automotive business, which is a world automotive business. How does that translate between what people are seeing out there throughout the week and, you know, Google-eyed about all of these things, but then the real serious side of the business that this is promoting something that is very important to our economy?
Absolutely. You know, the car industry is so important for Detroit, and frankly, it's incredibly important for America and America's economy, and it's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about what we do at Ford. But at the end of the day, it's the best car that wins, and developing the best car is understanding your customer. So when we're at Dream Cruise and we're meeting with some of these 1.5 million people, understanding what's important to them, how they use their car, what they love about their car, what makes them smile, that makes us better because all of that goes into the development of the vehicles. So that's why we love to be a part of Dream Cruise. We love to be with the customer. We're going to have 100 Bronco vintage owners bring their vehicles to Dream Cruise this year. It's the first time we've done it, and it's a great opportunity for us to bond with them.
You've broken some glass ceilings along the way, but this is also an industry in which many of the major decisions, when people decide, okay, what are we going to buy for the family, it's made by women to a great extent, and that has been changing throughout the years to a great extent. Why is that so important?
Really, women have been making the majority of the decisions for a very long time, but now what we're finding is women are actually buying more vehicles than men, and actually women right now, younger women have more driver's licenses than men do. Right. So this younger generation of women, my son, my daughter, are really going to change things up, and it's very exciting to watch and to see what they love and what's important to them in the vehicles that they drive.
Yeah. Tony, the planning for the Dream Cruise goes on behind the scenes quietly all year long. I mean, this is not something that you put together in a week or 2 weeks, but on Monday, it really kicks into high gear, right?
Yeah, it does. In fact, we have a board meeting here at Channel 7, getting ready for the week. And again, the cities are just amazing. Their commitment, the police, we should mention how great they are the entire day. And of course, the Friday night, which is unofficial, but there's a big crowd out there, and it's very tough.
And it's become really a week-long event. I mean,
unofficially.
Saturday is the official day,
yes,
but
yes.
Unofficially, all week long, you're going to see folks cruising up and down Woodward, showcasing whatever it is they want to showcase.
You really are, and again, hats off to the cities. And Chuck, I have to tell you one more time. I mentioned Ford, and I do mean this. A global company doing things across the world, and Ford never forgets their home and the things that mean something to the people here in the Detroit region, and this is one of those. So a huge thank you, and it does mean the world to everybody in this region. Yeah. I'm speaking for everybody. It does matter what you guys do.
Tony, you have become known as such an ambassador for this city and the image that goes along with this city, whether it's in the role that you wear with the parade company or your role with the Dream Cruise. But when you think about the fact that we're also producing a 1-hour version that's syndicated to something like 80% of the households in the United States, what does this mean in terms of how people see a revitalized Metro Detroit?
This is so important, and when your great people put this together, led by Mike, Marin team, and we made this decision and they got it done. It was amazing to have that hour show air across America, 80%. Think about that. This 9-mile stretch, 16-mile stretch, 9 cities, on a stage for America to see, which includes New York, LA, and Chicago, and it's fantastic. This is one of those things that is great, great, great for our city, and no other way to explain it.
We shouldn't let this program get away without talking just a little bit about Greg Rassel, the role that he's played. He's chaired the board of the Dream Cruise for many, many years. He's retiring from his position in, I believe, Berkeley, his day-to-day
Royal
job.
Oak.
Royal Oak, okay. But he has played an integral role, and it goes back to what you mentioned earlier about communities being so involved in making the Dream Cruise a success.
He is retiring from Royal Oak as Director of Public Works, I believe, which he will then retire from the board. He's the president of the board of Woodward Dream Cruise. One of the finest human beings I have ever met and ever dealt with in my career. He just really gets it. And when another city was in trouble with something, Greg would step up and say, I can help you with that. Wow. And I have to tell you, we're going to miss him so much. But to have been around somebody like that is really cool. It really is. And he's retiring. He's great, he and his wife. And but just a huge thank you to him, all the cities and everybody involved. He's a wonderful human being.
All right. Amy, I'll give you the last word on this. Being so involved with Ford, having worn several different hats throughout the years as you've worked your career up the ladder there, what do you think Henry Ford would say if he could come back and see what's going to be out there on Woodward Avenue on Saturday?
I think he would be so proud. I think he would be so proud that so many of the vehicles that he did early in his career people are still passionate about it. I think about Mustang, and Mustang is 55 years old. How many vehicles have been around for 55 years? And it really, for us, is a celebration of Mustang. That's what Dream Cruise is. We have other vehicles that we're going to bring there. We're going to have our truck event. We'll have our SUV event. We'll have Ford Performance. But Mustang Alley is something that we love, and we hope to see so many people there. Please stop by and say hi.
You're optimistic about where the automotive world is headed?
Absolutely. You just see the excitement at Woodward, and it makes you excited about the auto industry. We are so lucky to live in Detroit and to work in the auto company. It's a pleasure.
Amy Marin Tech, thank you so much for joining us today on
Thank
Spotlight.
you, Chuck.
Tony, always a pleasure seeing you.
Chuck.
And we will get you back next year and talk about it again.
Great.
All right. And we'll be back with more guests right after this. Welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me is Phil Weaver. He is the president and CEO of the Hope Network, and we're glad to have you on Spotlight.
I'm so honored to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's my pleasure. What is the Hope Network?
So our organization is basically a social services organization that helps people with different kinds of abilities, mental health, developmental disabilities, traumatic brain injuries, reading problems, housing problems, whatever the problem is, we help people overcome.
Has it been around for a while?
Been around since 1963.
Okay.
So we're a statewide organization. We have about 2,700 employees across the state, and we serve every county in the state of Michigan with some of our programs.
And needless to say, when all of this huge debate over auto insurance reform and the historic signing of the legislation up on Mackinac Island, you were one of the organizations that were watching intently.
We were a little bit disappointed that they would sign a bill like the way they signed it, because I think there are some issues. We know there needs to be a change, right? We all admit that. Everybody agrees with that.
Okay.
But I think the bill that was currently put in place has some weaknesses in it that potentially could be changed and fixed.
Well, one thing that we certainly heard from viewership throughout the entire process was those that are suffering catastrophic injuries, how did they fit into this new legislation? And that's concern, even though we're talking, something like maybe 18,000 people that fit into that versus the 2 million insured driver. If you're one of those 18,000 or you're caregivers for one of those, that's a major issue.
Yeah, if it's you or a family member, it's a major issue. And we think that they didn't really take a look at the long-term care effects of people with traumatic brain injury or spinal cord injuries. You know, a person that has a traumatic, catastrophic car accident is not like falling off a ladder and getting a brain injury. It's much more significant and severe like that. Most of those people are on feeding tubes to start with, can't talk, can't walk, can't go to the bathroom by themselves, can't get out of bed by themselves. We think those people are going to be massively impacted by this law. In fact, in July 1st of 2021, for Hope Network, as an example, and other rehab places, they're reducing our rates from where we get paid today by 45%. Well, we don't have a 45% margin built into our system today.
What happens when the legislation was signed? Governor Whitmer, Speaker Chatfield, Majority Leader Shirkey, all of them said this may not be perfect legislation, but we're moving in the right direction there, and certainly trying to get more in line with what other states are trying to do. When you look at it from that vantage point, what is it that the Hope Network does now to try to lobby to get the bill tweaked, amendments to it, try to get it so that 5 years from now you feel as though there have been improvements with this legislation?
Yeah, so our purpose, I think, is going to be to educate, right? So we have to educate the general public on what's going to really happen in some things. As an example, there are some programs that we do at Neural Rehab does, that traumatic brain injury programs do, that spinal cord injury programs that are not covered under the Medicare codes. There's no codes for them. So those programs are the ones that are going to be impacted unless we can get some tweaks to the bill. That's all we really, that's the number one thing we're working on.
What do you think the chances are?
I think it's very good. I think some legislators and some others are recognizing, geez, we don't want to just completely dissolve these programs in the state of Michigan that have treated so many with brain injury and spinal cord injuries and got them successfully back to their homes and got them back to their lives. Particularly, we don't want to impact children, right? I mean, a child's in a car accident after this law goes into effect on July 1st, 2021, when it's fully in effect, that child is not going to get the coverage that they get today. They have no chance of success in life. They're going to end up in long-term care somewhere rather than getting rehabbed.
What do you say to people who say, okay, I understand that we need to take care of individuals that are dealing with catastrophic injuries, but there are a whole lot of us who are not suffering with that, but yet we're paying a hefty premium. What kind of balance can we strike so that we aren't necessarily giving quote unquote lifetime benefits for something that we just can't financially absorb within the state? Yeah,
so I don't think that that the entire bill is bad. So let me be clear on that.
Okay.
I think sending the PIP choice makes some sense long term. I do think the fraud control is going to really make a difference where we've had issues with that. So there are several parts of the bill that I'm saying I disagree. The part I want to make sure that we do is that we allow for the opportunity for people to recover. That's what I'm talking about. So, I'll give you an example. So we have a young lady, in fact, the governor visited this young lady a week before she signed the bill in our East Lansing program, where this young lady got hit. She was riding her bike, was hit, ended up 8 weeks in intensive care, had 8 surgeries, 8 weeks, spent $1 million in the hospital. Wow. Came to us, was on a feeding tube, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't drink, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't go to the bathroom. 8 months later, she's now at home and recovering and doing outpatient therapy. We want to make sure that doesn't go away, because we do think we can provide great services and get great outcomes for individuals.
Right. If you had to look around the country and say there's a state that maybe has struck that really good balance, which one would it be? Any idea?
Yeah, I think Texas has done a good job. I think Florida is starting to get there. They've made some minor tweaks to their law in the last couple of years. So they're doing a pretty good job of balancing those things. But I think Texas probably I would pick as the number one place, because they actually provide in law that you get rehabilitation for traumatic brain injury and spinal cord injuries beyond the hospital stay. Right now, as you know, if you come out of the hospital with a stroke, as an example, in most cases, you go home and you get therapies 60 days of it, 30 days of it, whatever your policy states, right? Well, our program is 30 hours a week of intensive therapy when you're with us. That's the difference. It's intensive short-term therapy to get you to return home faster.
Very good. You're not giving up.
I'm never going to give up.
All right.
Because I believe in helping people. So.
Very good. Phil Weaver, thanks so much for coming in. If people want to get more information, their website that they can go to?
HopeNetwork.org.
That's easy to remember.
Easy to remember.
HopeNetwork.org. Coming up on Spotlight, we'll remember the late L. Brooks Patterson. And finally today, our condolences to the family and friends of the late Oakland County executive, L. Brooks Patterson. I can't recall the number of interviews I did with him over 3 decades, but he was always friendly, passionate, a fighter for Oakland County, and outspoken, which sometimes landed him in hot water with his critics. But that was L. Brooks Patterson, the man behind the county that he affectionately always said drives Michigan's economy. Brooks, from a political standpoint, China is not a country that we always have the best relationships with, and there certainly has been concern lately because their products are not up to our standards. When you get into those touchy type of areas, this is the type of thing that could just explode at any moment for any particular reason.
This goes on in commerce all around the world, and the fact that we can begin to get into a market of 1.3 billion consumers, and I heard an interesting statistic, the undercount in China, people not counted in the census may be another 300 million, more than we have in our country, the undercount. Wow. So it's a huge market, and I think our businesses can get in, and I think we can develop a meaningful working relationship that benefits both countries, China's and ours. And if you look at it in a really macro, global look, you don't go to war with your partners. The more we integrate our business interests and our culture and our relationships and our friendships, I think that stabilizes two very important parts of this world.
If there's a message you want to send out there in a year where it could be a historic year with Obama running strong and possibly running strong in Oakland County, what would that message to the voters be?
When McCain apparently conceded Michigan, a lot of people who are not political junkies like you and me turn out to vote for president. And if they think, well, my vote doesn't count, McCain's already conceded, they're going to stay home. And if 10,000 people stay home in Oakland County, it's going to tip over a lot of races.
In the spirit of bipartisanship, is there a Democrat that L. Brooks Patterson could walk into the booth and feel comfortable voting for?
I've already voted, and I voted absentee, and I split my ticket.
You did split your ticket. All right. L. Brooks Patterson, thanks so much for sitting down with us. Mr. County Executive, fill in the blank. The state of Oakland County is
very healthy.
Okay.
I mean, the businesses are booming. We're getting more and more investment every day. The property values are increasing. Businesses are coming in. Healthcare is my largest sector now. It's outstripped automotive.
Right.
And Beaumont's my largest employer with 17,000 just in Oakland County. So it's all good news.
L. Brooks Patterson, he indeed made his mark on Michigan history.